Today we're looking at hydrangea in the landscape. And if you look to my right here, you can see a smaller version of what is the Annabelle. It's called the Pee-wee White. And it's used at this location because of the height. It stays under 3 feet. Behind the Pee-wee White hydrangea, we have the what is called confetti. And it is a tardiva hydrangea. And as you can tell by the flower, it is not the round ball, it's more of a conical shape. And as moving further back, you can see in the far background, there's Limelight Hydrangea. And Limelight Hydrangea at this location is used to really create a wall between this property and the neighbor's property. And taking a cue from the plant material around it, you have the concolor fir, and then you have the hostas. And pulling in the blues and the greens from those really ties in the landscape nicely. On a management level, the way you treat hydrangeas can greatly affect the types of flowers or the size of the flowers that are produced. Behind me you'll see Limelight Hydrangea, and on the right you'll notice the balls are much more compact, there's a lot more of them. Those shrubs were not cut back as part of the management plan, they were not cut back. And then if you look to the right of the concolor fir, you'll notice much larger heads. Same shrub, Limelight, but because it was cut back, it allowed the shrub to regenerate and create larger flowers. Oftentimes, hydrangeas are thought of as our grandmother's shrubs, and I like to think of them, or think that there's nothing wrong with that, but I like to look at how we can reuse them in the landscape and make them a little more modern. So if you look at this particular planting at the side of the house, you'll notice the Limelight hydrangeas create the backdrop, but then we've integrated native plants, including Radon's favorite aster in the front, which we'll put on a spectacular display this fall. And then we incorporated a blonde ambition grass here to add some texture and color. And if you notice, the seed head of the grass picks up the flower head of the hydrangea. Oftentimes, I think hydrangeas are thought of as being high maintenance and require a lot of work in the landscape. Next to me is an example of one of the simplest and hardiest hydrangeas, and it's called Incrediball. The reason it's called Incrediball is because of the large flowered heads it gets. It blooms early in the season, usually May, and if you time it carefully, you can have hydrangeas blooming from spring all the way into the fall. So there are 7 different species of hydrangea, and I have some of those here that I thought I would talk about with you. The ones people love the most are always the pink, of course, and the blue. And I learned from my mother to really use these as annuals and use them in pots. And that way you can kind of control the content to get them blue or pink. This one on my right is this Macrophyla Serrata. You notice the difference in the petals, and this one is just a straight Macrophyla. Moving on, we get into some of the ones that are easier to grow. The paniculatas, which include the Limelight. This happens to be a bobo. This one also in the paniculata family is one of my favorites, Little Lamb. One of the oldest is the arborescens, which falls into the Annabelle and the Pee-wee White, and of course the Incrediball. And lastly is another one of the paniculatas that I think is really interesting just because of the way it's cut up, and this one is called Lava Lamp. Keep in mind when you're looking for hydrangeas that there's a variety of those out there that require different kinds of maintenance and care. You know, the tried and trues are always going to be the arborescens and the paniculatas. They aren't the fancy blue and the pink, but they are tried and true bloomers and will always bring happiness and put a smile on your face in the garden.